think what is happening in the zone and the reforms that we are seeing there are going to be very, very significant.
Hello and welcome to today's masterclass on the internationalization of the Chinese currency, the renminbi. My name is Brian Caplen, editor of The Banker. I'm here with Alexandra Gropp, who is Regional Head of Renminbi Solutions Europe for Standard Chartered. And we're going to now look at the role of the Shanghai Pilot Free Trade Zone. So Alexandra, China has lots of free trade zones. What's different about this one?
The Shanghai Pilot Free Trade Zone is significant because it is expected that this is going to act as testbed for reforms that further boost the internationalization of the RMB. So we are going to see, I think, more reforms with regards to the liberalization of interest rates and the opening up of the capital account. And it is expected that those reforms, if they're working well, will lead to either branching out into sort of other free trade zones and then eventually even across pan-China. What is happening in the zone and the reforms that we are seeing there are going to be very, very significant.
Okay, now it's very early days, so tell me when it was set up and where we are with it now.
Yes, it was announced in September last year, and at the beginning of December, PBOC released a first opinion document.
That's the People's Bank of China, yeah.
Correct. Released a first opinion document on how the zone is going to operate and what benefits it'll bring to corporates and entities set up in the zone. So what we're seeing at the moment is, in particular, in relation to cash management, and again further channels to move cash in and out of China. There's one program which we call the RMB two-way sweeping, which has already been used by a couple of multinational corporates, which basically allows connecting the onshore cash pool with the company's offshore global cash liquidity
So
pool.
allowing them to take renminbi out yeah.
As well as in,
right.
Subject to a quota.
Yeah.
So all this is still very closely monitored, and this program is also still in pilot phase, which means it is subject to the approval of People's Bank of China.
Okay, and this is a very normal approach by the Chinese government, isn't it? To try something out in one place as a test case to see whether it works before you try it out, as you say, in other places, and that's why it's significant in the internationalization of the currency.
Absolutely. It allows all, and this is why this Shanghai Pilot Free Trade Zone is also very significant. It allows and supports the very measured and controlled approach that the Chinese are taking to internationalize the RMB. So if those reforms are working well and achieve the desired effect, then we can see them rolled out, eventually moved off pilot and being rolled out across China or other free trade zones.
Okay. Now, Standard Chartered has an operation inside the free trade zone. So what will you be using that for, and how will it work sort of alongside your other operations in Shanghai or in China generally?
Yes. Clearly, we are very committed to the RMB internationalization, very committed as an organization to support that. We've been present in China over 150 years, so for us to set up a sub-branch in the zone was a natural move. So that will allow us to really closely support and assist our clients with all the new reforms and measures that are going to come out. Clearly, we need to be on the ground there in order to facilitate that.
Okay, and we've already seen, I mean, you mentioned two things. You mentioned the sort of freeing up of the interest rates and the freeing up of the capital account. We've already seen some moves, haven't we, in China in terms of the freeing up of the interest rates?
Absolutely. That is something that I think we're going to see more of during 2014. It is a complex process, and the way this is going to be done is going to be very measured and controlled again. But in order to internationalize the currency, interest rate liberalization and the move towards a more credit pricing-driven system is going to be absolutely vital, and I think the policymakers do acknowledge that.
Okay, and then as a bank lending funds, how much easier does it make it to price credit if you have that kind of system rather than the system you have at the moment?
Well, clearly I think what it's going to do is potentially increase competition, because you're not going to have the regulated interest rates. It's going to be more credit driven. But ultimately, as international bank, we're clearly used to that from other markets. So it's not going to be that much of a change from that point of view. But it's clearly changing the system overall in China. That is very certain.
Okay, so that's the interest rates, and we'll come back and talk about capital raising and the capital accounting in just a minute.
Thank you.